There are many reasons that explain why Western narratives have underestimated or neglected China's wartime contributions. First, many Westerners don't know much about history at all, even their own history. On the one hand, we might say this is a typical ignorance one might find anywhere. On the other hand, some critical accounts suggest there's a tendency in capitalist societies to suppress historical memory, to encourage getting lost in time, to make people more susceptible to exploitation. Furthermore, we sometimes see active resistance to recalling history because many don't want to accept historical responsibility. For example, most U.S. citizens today don't want to recall the genocide committed against Native Americans, or the fact that their nation's founding fathers were slave owners, or the war of aggression against Mexico, including killing children trying to defend the Mexican capital, as the Monumento a los Niños Héroes, or the Monument to the Children Heroes in Mexico City reminds us, among other atrocities. Of course, the Chinese people understand this problem insomuch as they understand the Japanese today still resist confronting historical accounts of the atrocities their country committed against China and others in the past. Now, second, there are many who think they know history, but it's the Captain America version. They believe it was the U.S. that saved the world from fascism. They don't even know the role that the Soviet Union played, despite Soviet efforts far exceeding the American side. Now, these misunderstandings have been encouraged sometimes by official propaganda, including inscriptions on the World War II memorial in Washington, D.C., crediting the U.S. for saving the world. And, they've often been the storylines of a great number of Hollywood films, which more than anything else have shaped what people think about history. That said, these perceptions are encouraged wrongly, but understandably, by events like the U.S. nuclear attacks on Japan in 1945, which conveyed, I think, an outsized sense of the U.S. being the victor above all others, followed by the fact that the U.S. emerged from the war as one of the world's superpowers. Now, third, many in the West don't have a firm concept of fascism. Many know Germany was fascist. Some even know that modern fascism first emerged from Mussolini's Italy, but most are unlikely to regard Imperial Japan as being fascist. Of course, they might know that Japan was allied with Nazi Germany and fascist Italy, but they have little, if any, grasp of the deeper ideological affinities between these three countries. They don't know the Showa era displayed strong fascist characteristics in its economic and military policies, its recourse to invasion and genocide, its ideologies promoting the racial superiority of the Japanese people, and so on. In fact, there was never a full accounting of Japanese fascism in Japan or the West, nothing comparable to what post-war Germany experienced, and this likewise has obscured historical awareness. Now, fourth, many in the West have a very racist view of history. This may or may not be due to overt racism, which unfortunately is still a problem in the U.S. and Europe. But the bottom line is that there's a tendency to undervalue or neglect altogether positive historical roles played by non-whites, especially in the modern period.